Hi, and thank you for joining us for another edition of Your Schools. I'm Guy Sconzo, the very proud superintendent of Humble ISD. Thrilled that you're with us, and I'm even more thrilled having by my side Michael Strahan, eat your heart out. I've got Carrie Brinson. Carrie, good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Happy April.
Happy April. Where has the year gone?
Oh, I know. We can see the finish line now.
The finish line is close.
Boy, it really is.
And I've survived almost my whole first school year in this chair, Guy. I'm proud of myself.
I keep telling you, you're a veteran now. Those days are over.
I am almost a veteran. That is true. When the school year's done, I will give myself veteran status.
Okay, it's a deal. It's a deal. And we have got a super show coming up.
Yes,
we really do. Legislature, state legislature is in session. It always makes me a little worried, but nevertheless, they're there, and we're trying to pay attention to what they're doing and making a difference.
Absolutely. It's important that our voices are heard.
Yeah, and we're going to have a couple school board members with us to talk more about that. Very, very excited to have one of our Maplebrook students. Oh my gosh, this little girl is just going to tug at your heart. She is amazing.
And it's wonderful to see the things that somebody so young can actually make a difference out in the community.
Yeah.
So I'm anxious for our viewers to see this segment.
Absolutely. And no relationship whatsoever, but we're going to talk about auto collision.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about dance.
Oh, yes, no correlation between the two.
No, not at all. But just to tease you for a second, when we talk about dance, and we're going to have some of our Kingwood High School amazing fillies with us, we're going to expose the past of Carrie Brinson. We're going to expose it.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And we just need to make sure that people remember that in the 80s, big hair was the in thing. That was stylish back then, Guy.
And now, see, to some of us, the 80s was just yesterday. It's not a big deal. But thank you again for joining us. And Carrie and I will be back in just a minute. We'll get started.
Great. Thanks. Hi, thanks for joining us. The Texas legislature is now in session through June, and decisions made in Austin affect us directly here at Humble ISD, not only in the classroom, but operationally, as we know. You can have your voice heard, though, by participating in the District Legislative Committee. And today we have with us two school board members. We have Miss Angela Conrad, who is our school board parliamentarian that also serves on the District Legislative Committee. And we have our school board president, Mr. Robert Scarfo. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you guys for joining us. Angela, you just had a big trip to Austin. I know you were one of the participants in our community that went with the Lake Houston Area Chamber of Commerce. Can you tell us about that?
Absolutely. Admittedly, I wasn't very involved in the legislative process prior to being on the school board, so it's all relatively new to me. Sure. So it was really good to be a part of an organized trip that the chamber scheduled for us. We had a lot of speakers arranged so we could hear from Commissioner Williams, the Comptroller Hager, our representatives, senators, and so it was nice to have those scheduled times that we could speak and ask questions directly of them, and just to know their way around the Capitol, and I don't, so it was great to be a part of that group and to really see that you can make a difference and just how to go about it. So we really enjoyed it.
Great. Now, how many people went with the trip?
Our chamber combined with another chamber from the Northeast area, okay. So there was 100 plus.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a good group.
So this area of Texas was heard loud and clear in Austin then. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
The Capitol gets pretty crowded.
Oh, yeah.
So Robert, as board president, it's your responsibility to appoint the board legislative committee, and that's really where it starts. Right. And then in turn the board committee really works with and communicates with the district legislative committee. However, prior to being president, you've served on that board legislative committee.
Yes, I did, and that was not a great time to be in that spot. That was back in 11 when we were facing all the cuts, and you and I were out doing all the dog and ponies trying to get people warmed up to what was going on. And luckily, and especially with our good friend Mr. Huberty being there, it really helped to soften some serious blows. And Mr. Rushing is chairing this year's committee. Unfortunately, couldn't be here. I'm kind of subbing in for him because of business commitments. But he's done a great job in really just steering us with what we need to do and getting the community involved, and Ms. Conrad and Mr. Cunningham, integral parts of that process. And I think we've gotten the word out. We have a lot of resources that we can discuss. But yeah, it's something, as Ms. Conrad said, people do need to get involved because they do listen. They hear. They look at emails, they look at the phone logs, and the face-to-face visits are great too, if that's possible. So yeah, it's a great process to be active in.
Very much so. Angela, I try to stay involved and listen to the buzz and what's going on in regards with education, and it seems to be that pre-K is a hot topic in the legislature right now. Can you address that?
Absolutely. I know there's a lot of emphasis on it because the studies, all the research show, there's multiple studies that show the long-term benefits of a quality early childhood education. So you're looking at being able to help students stay in class. They're not as likely to repeat grade levels. They're more likely to graduate. I think there's even studies that show a higher average income monthly. So anything that we can do to help our students achieve more while they're with us is a great idea as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, unfortunately, there have been a lot of bills introduced about pre-K, and our own Representative Uberty introduced
Yes.
House Bill 4 this session, which is only about pre-K and has the governor's direct support. So we're real hopeful that'll move kind of quickly through the House and then onto the Senate.
Right, and as you said and we discussed earlier, even if that does happen, we're going to have to kind of struggle for facility to have the pre-K. We may, as you talked with us, have to outsource some of that, and we're going to have to really look at that. It's great to be able to have that problem, I think, because as Ms. Conrad said, there's no question of how it helps children coming into kindergarten to be up to speed and not be behind, especially for the economically disadvantaged students. They are behind, and it's hard to catch up.
You know, and funding is an issue. Just never goes away. At least it feels that way. So really for both of you, thinking about this legislative session, so different from 2011, when there was no money. Now the legislature has money that they've never seen or experienced before, which is a great thing. But there are a lot of demands on those dollars for all kinds of necessary statewide services, including education. So I'd be interested in your perspective, Angela, as being kind of new to the process, and Robert, based on your experience, what about the funding piece, and how can we all try to make a difference where that's concerned?
I just think that we have to let them know the needs, and it's kind of the squeaky wheel syndrome, getting the oil. We just have to be relentless in making sure, not our district and hopefully other districts throughout the state are letting legislators know that if we're trying to achieve this certain level of academic success for our students, it doesn't happen by magic, and it does take funding, and we have to use those funds wisely, of course. But it's great to say, we need to have students in pre-K, 4 years old, and we used to do 3 years old. But how do you do it? You can't wave a wand and make it happen. So we just have to keep the message there with them that if they're serious about education, then they need to help us fund it and not penalize us when we have growth in the district in terms of the tax base. They need to keep us whole and not keep taking money away. What we gain locally should be something we keep and not that we lose state aid. It's the craziest formula. As a financial person, I have trouble reconciling that in my head. I can't do it even after 35 years. So we need to get them to understand that has to be the message, that we all want to do this, but we need the state's help too. They can't walk away. So.
Right. Well, we appreciate both of your efforts. We know it's you guys have lives outside the school district, and we know the time commitment that you put in. But thank you, and thank you for being involved in Austin, because our legislatures do listen to their constituents, and obviously you guys care about education, care about our kids in the community, and we appreciate you keeping that in the forefront of our legislatures, because at the end of the day, this affects our kids, and we all want the best for our kids and a successful future for our children. So, thank you both for being here. Unfortunately, we've got to wrap this segment up, but we'll look forward to seeing you guys hopefully in the future on shows later on.
All right.
Thanks very
Great.
much.
Thank you.
And for our audience, thank you guys for sticking with us, and Guy and I will be right back.